We had some huge deals close this month. Some of the greatest deals that anyone has ever seen. Many people say that these are some of the greatest deals that have ever been done. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to FEEKI Flips, the most dumbed down real estate channel on all of YouTube, because if I can make money doing this, then so can you. Before we get into this video, as the clickbaity title says, it's not really clickbait. We made over $85,000 last month wholesaling a few deals, so we're gonna run through each deal individually. You know, they were all different. They all have different lead sources. So we'll do a high-level overview of each deal. Before we get into that, I just started a new Discord channel, totally free to join. I have the link in the description here. I only made this because we get a ton of questions on YouTube, Instagram, email, text, Facebook group, and I just want to consolidate everything into one channel. So if you have a question, make sure to ask me on Discord, and I'll be on there every day answering any questions that you guys have. So let's jump right in. All right, so making $85,000 in a month just from wholesaling is great, but we didn't actually want to wholesale these deals. So let me tell you why real quick. Typically we make more when we flip properties instead of wholesaling them. And we really only wholesaled these because we're in the middle of 3 refinances on 3 different rental properties that we have. Long story short, it's been a total nightmare trying to get these things refinanced. And if we closed another deal in any entity that we have, as long as it was in, you know, our names or tied to our names, it was gonna screw up the refinances. We couldn't buy anything for the last 6 weeks or 2 months or however long it's taken. So every single deal that we've had come in the pipeline, we've had to wholesale, not by choice, but by necessity. We would have made an additional probably 60 to 80,000 in net profit by flipping these deals. Just would have come a lot later instead of immediately. So real quick, before we hop into these 3 deals, a quick pros and cons list on wholesaling. Pro to wholesaling is that you get the money way faster because you don't have to take title, remodel, and then actually sell the property. You're in and out of the deal before it even gets bought. And then second pro to wholesaling is you have very little or no risk in the deal because you never take title to the property. So when you buy something to flip it, you're actually exposed to a lot of risk due to the market, going over on your numbers for rehab. A ton of different things can happen once you actually own the property. None of that applies to wholesaling. You're in and you're out, you make your money up front. With how the market is right now, we've been exposed to a lot of market appreciation by buying and flipping properties, but that might change soon, or eventually it will change, where buying something is going to be much more risky if the market starts to come down. Whereas if you wholesaled that deal from the start, you would have been in and out before the market ever starts to tank. And now it's the flipper's problem that you sold the deal to. So again, the con to wholesaling is not making as much money, and you're not exposed to the market appreciation that you might get when flipping a property. So deal number 1, we actually got from a local real estate agent here in town that's a friend of mine. The deal came from a friend of his, and the house was in disrepair. It would have required a ton of repairs just to get it on market, to get it listed. So they sent the deal over to us because it would have made a much better candidate for a flip rather than a listing. So we network with agents in town. You know, they're taking a ton of listing appointments, and people, their sphere of influence, know them as real estate people, so they know us as flippers in town, so they'll bring deals to us like that off market from time to time. So our contract price on that deal was $280,000. Needed about 40 or 50,000 in repairs. So when we got it under contract, we were originally planning to flip it. We thought that we'd be able to sell it for somewhere in the 400,000 range. Found out about these refinances that we couldn't buy anything. I hit up a flipper in town that we have a great relationship with, pitched the deal to him, and he was able to close on the deal for $300,000. So the seller got the $280,000 that we agreed to originally. The buyer wired in $300,000 to escrow, and then we were able to make the $20,000 in between for the assignment fee. So I know that was super quick on how wholesaling works. If you guys want a more detailed explanation, check out my how to wholesale step-by-step video. I'll drop the card right here so you can click right on it, and I go really into depth on how the whole process of wholesaling works. So this deal was actually pretty easy from start to finish. I went out and took the acquisition appointment, estimated rehab, and that day I got the seller an offer. I offered him $270 at first, and we had to renegotiate a little bit. We had to come up to $280. That's where he needed to be happy. in this deal. We took it a little bit tighter than we wanted to. The numbers still worked for us as a flip for that. That was really the only hang up, was that little bit of negotiation right at the beginning of the deal. But throughout escrow, all was good. Seller was on top of it. He got everything moved out when he said he was going to, and we closed it with no issues. So deal number 2, this deal actually came in through our website. I think through Google Ads on that one. We do Google Ads, SEO, a bunch of different stuff to get leads through our website. Seller submitted a form through there, called him right back. He was super motivated to sell. There was a tenant in the property that was probably going to be a problem, and we weren't going to be able to get access to the property before buying it. So I factored that into our numbers. Couldn't take an acquisition appointment. I saw what we would be able to resell the property after a full remodel and just assumed that it would need a full remodel. And I made him an offer that worked for us with a little bit more fat in it for the extra risk and timelines for getting the current tenant out of there. And the seller accepted at $220,000. So looking at the comps, I thought that we would be able to resell this one for about $375,000 after a full remodel. And rehab was a big question mark. We knew that it did not need a roof, but judging by the exterior of the house, when I went out there, as you guys saw, to door knock the tenant to see if we could make contact before closing, place looked really, really fucked up. So we can assume that the inside was really, really fucked up. I think we were budgeting about $60,000 in repairs on this one, plus probably doing a full legal eviction, plus really long hold times for getting the tenant out of there, since we weren't going to be able to make contact before closing. So all in all, it still worked at the $220 price for us for a flip, but we elected to wholesale it, and we probably would have wholesaled this one anyway, even if we didn't have to, because of these refinances. That was the major problem with this deal, was the tenant. And now we actually wholesaled it to the same buyer as the first deal. He's owned this thing for over a month now, and I just talked to him yesterday, and he has still not made contact with the tenant. That's actually another risk of flipping properties versus wholesaling. We already got paid on this deal. We assigned the deal to him for, what was it, $240,000 for that $20,000 assignment fee here. And now he has to deal with getting that tenant out of there. We've already made our money up front, and he's gonna make more than us. We would have made more by flipping it, but it's pros and cons. We are already out of the deal and on to the next one, where he hasn't even started the deal yet, and he's already 30 days in. Deal number 3, the biggest one. So this deal, we actually got the lead source through direct mail. I've talked about mail on the channel a little bit before. We're still testing it, but it has proven to be a pretty good marketing channel for us. Seller called in, super motivated, moving out of state. Went and took the acquisition appointment right away. Place was pretty fucked up as usual. Definitely a better candidate for a flip than a listing. Same process as always. I figured out what we would be able to resell it for before I went. On the appointment, I estimated rehab and then backed into our offer that way. And I offered him $330,000. He accepted that the next day. Usually, especially on houses that are a pretty big job as far as rehab goes, we'll have an inspection contingency in our contract even after I walk the property, and that's when I'll send Wes, our project manager, and my partner out to walk the property to see if I missed anything. He knows the rehab down to the dollar, where I just know generally about what it's gonna be. Later that week, during our inspection contingency, we decided we were forced to wholesale this house. So I sent Wes out, and I sent our buyer out, is actually the same buyer for all 3 of these deals. We sent them out together. They walked the property to confirm rehab. I think I overestimated rehab on this one a little bit. They were both able to walk the property, and we do that because in case it doesn't work out and we do end up having to buy the property instead of wholesaling it, we don't need to access it again because we already have our numbers together. I've seen the property, Wes has seen the property, and we're ready to roll if we have to go that way. It's good to have options. After they walked the property, I came back to the buyer and I said, hey, I want to bring these deals to you first. I like working with you, but I really need like as much as you can give us for this one. So let me know what your top dollar is. You've seen it. And so he was like, yeah, we'll do it for $375. I was like, cool. I signed it over to him, same process. We assigned the contract for a $45,000 assignment fee, which is my biggest one by almost double. He just closed on this one yesterday, and it closed vacant. So again, this one was actually pretty easy. There were no real hiccups during escrow except for an extension. The seller needed a little bit more time to get out, So we opted to extend the closing date instead of just closing and giving them time, because that's a way that you can really screw yourself as a flipper. Again, additional risk. You close on something when there's still people in there, even if their intention is to get out, they could easily just say, you know what, nope, we're not getting out anymore. And then you're stuck with an eviction anyway. Extended the contract. They got out in time after the extension. He closed on it vacant, and he's able to get right to work on this one, instead of like deal 2 where it's 30 days in and he's still waiting to even start. So that was a quick overview of the 3 wholesale deals that we closed this month for a total of $85,000 in net profit. Real quick, couple of lessons to be learned here. You guys always ask, where do you find all your deals? Where do you get your deals from? You saw that these 3 came from 3 different sources: networking, website, and direct mail. So they can come from anywhere. All marketing works. It's just a matter of how long does it take the marketing to work and how much do you have to spend to get these deals. Second lesson is relationships are important. As you guys heard, we sold all 3 of these deals to the same buyer. Another question that I always get is, how do you build your cash buyers list? I don't think you need a huge cash buyers list to be successful at wholesaling. You really only need 2 or 3 legit buyers that you know are doing deals in volume. They're gonna perform when they say they're gonna perform. And when you hit them up, they don't give you any bullshit and they'll just say, yeah, we'll take it. Let me look at it. Cool, we're good to go. And then there's no drama during closing. And then you can do easy wholesale deals like these ones. All right, that about wraps it up for this episode. One of the greatest episodes that we've ever had on this channel. Many people say so, and a lot of people have said the same thing about this channel. One of the best real estate channels on all of YouTube, and really great guys behind the camera.